I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo! I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Welcome back. Today is Jimmy Carter's 98th birthday. And
Madness.
There was a period where Jimmy Carter was the pejorative for ineffective presidents. He was the go-to example of somebody who was a terrible president. Now, that's included in the fact that we now know that the Reagan campaign that was engaged in undermining the Iranian deal to get the hostages back during the last year, like major like what we would call like modern FARA violations, undermining the negotiating power of the sitting U.S. president in the attempt to run a scam, essentially, to make him look worse than he was. So we also now know that he has spent his retirement years building houses for the homeless and the underprivileged by hand. The man not only raises money for Habitat for Humanity, he shows up his nails. Well into his 80s, he was doing this. He's a great example of what used to be touted as traditional Christian values. An honest recognition when they asked him about, his relationship and all this stuff. He goes, he was honestly said, "I've lusted in my heart," because that's an honest answer. Yeah. It's true. It's fundamentally true of everyone. And it's an absurd. If he said otherwise, it would have been a lie. And so the insistence that one of the things that made him a bad president is his refusal to lie about his own moral shortcomings that were never materially failures. He didn't act on them. He was just honest that everybody has those feelings. Like, that's how humanity works. Never mind the fact that Jimmy Carter once saved Canada from a nuclear accident, and his urine was radioactive for, I think, 6 months after it happened.
Wait, what? Really?
You've never heard this story?
No.
Okay. So, in 1952, Jimmy Carter is a lieutenant in the Army, or Navy, rather. He's in Schenectady, which is fun to say, New York. And he's training to work on a nuclear submarine. That's his gig in the Navy. And in Chalk River, Ontario, there was a nuclear accident that happened, and it was. Let me see if I can find exactly what the cause was. Okay. The overheating fuel rods created significant damage to the core of this reactor, and the Canadians turned to America and said, "Can you help us out with this while it's happening? To dismantle it so that it wouldn't melt down." 26 Americans, including several volunteers, rushed to Chalk River to help with the hazardous job. Carter led a team of men who, after formulating a plan, descended into the highly radioactive site for 90 seconds apiece to perform specialized tasks. Carter's job, according to the CBC recounting, was simply to turn a single screw, but even that limited exposure carried serious risks. Carter was told that he might never be able to have children again, though in fact his daughter Amy was born years later and she's healthy. For Weiss, they all had to do this thing where they had to each go in and he gamed it out. He had everybody, he measured how much exposure they could take. And
That's
he
crazy.
ran drills with the other guys that he formulated. All right, like we're each going to into certain bite-sized pieces so we can minimize how long we're there. We got a maximum amount of time to do each of these tasks. You unscrew this thing, this guy turns this one thing, he comes back up. Another guy goes in, he pulls the handles out and rotates it and types the thing in or whatever. Like each one of them had to like undo a bolt. That's it. And it was only stuff you could do in 90 seconds or less. And there are two things about this. One, that he went down in there himself. All those guys who went down and did that are heroes. But secondarily, that he organized the strategy that made it possible for all of these guys to do this, including himself, without dying. That in and of itself is like the kind of thinking you want in a president.
Absolutely.
That they look at the real problem that's in front of you and you handle it like a grown-up and you go, okay, we're only going to, all ego aside, nobody's going to be able to go in there and be like Spock and go, I'm going to die for everybody else. We're not going to do it that way, guys. We're going to break this into bite-sized pieces, and each of us is going to do a little bit, and that little bit's going to be enough. And that's what he did. He always shared the credit with the other guys. It was just a beautiful thing. But it was, his sort of, strategic thinking with the rest of these guys, talking to the scientists, going, okay, how much can we take? We can take this. All right, what's it look like? And they built a mock-up, and they ran through it several times so that each one of them, when they got down there, wouldn't be, confused about which one they were dealing with, because it wouldn't be, not like they were color-coded. And they're like, you get the blue screwdriver, go after the blue screw. You get the red wrench, go after the red bolt.
Right.
You know what I mean? This was going to be complicated when they went down there, and scary, and feel strange, and part of the damage that would be done would be invisible, and they wouldn't feel it, and that thought would make them nervous or sweaty and add time. It's like, and the vast majority of people don't know this about Jimmy Carter, I would argue. Even still, like over the last few years, It's gotten a little more news, and people are a little more aware of it, but certainly during the period where Jimmy Carter was the punching bag, at the example of bad presidents. Now, and this is pretty interesting. We've talked a lot on my live stream about people's attitude towards inflation. What we are experiencing right now is supply shock, one on fuel and one on transportable stuffs from other country that drives up the price of stuff. It's not standard inflation. It's the availability of funds and the limited amount, or the availability of goods or lack thereof, and the limited availability of funds, and whoever will pay to get in front in line, if they want it, they're going to get it. So restaurants, if they're trying to come back online, are going to buy all the good eggs, and therefore, if you want good eggs, you're going to pay a premium for them, and that's how stuff works in supply shock. That's what we're experiencing. That's what the world's experiencing. It is not standard inflation. It isn't about money printing. There's a huge liquidity problem in the world economy. There are not enough U.S. dollars in circulation. Ask anybody on Wall Street. Ask anybody on CNBC or Fox Business. None of them can even bring themselves to lie about it. This whole, we were printing money nonsense is garbage. It was always a story. It's just a way of, it's from the small government crowd to try and eat into, government shouldn't be in the position to help people. It's the Rand Pauling of Republican thought. But the situation we find ourselves in, where you solve the problem that's in front of you that's real, not the problem that everybody's telling you is the problem, but what's actually causing it. There was this analogy that I think Tony Robbins used at one point about this. He was doing a show, one of his things once, and there was a suit of armor on stage at this theater he was in. It was just part of the displays of stuff that they had. And every time he walked near it, his mic would go out. And it would and he was like, and so people were like, your mic's out again or whatever. And everybody started pointing at, every time you go by the knight over there, that's when it goes out. And so he started blaming the statue of this suit of armor. And then he went to the far edge of the other stage, finally, went out again. And it had to do with the transmitters on the stage were too far apart. It had nothing to do with that. So you couldn't solve he tried to solve it by avoiding the knight, going to the opposite edge of the stage, and it didn't work then. And that's what you
That's
see.
ridiculous.
And that's the problem with solving for if you solve for the wrong problem, no matter what your solution is, it isn't going to work. And right now, that's the issue with the Fed. And we'll talk more about that next week, because the rise in basis points and the stock market correction and all that kind of stuff that the Republicans are hoping will make people vote Republican this fall for some odd reason, because they're going to take us back to 0.25%,
Right.
as far as interest rates. It's absurd.
So, and next week, are we going to be streaming from the Oregon Trail?
Yes, I'm doing this. It's weird. You have to sign up for it early, but I'm doing this Donner Party trip that you can. Apparently, the meals are authentic.
So authentic.
Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging in there on the stream today. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go sing and then not be able to talk. Take care of somebody else. And remember, vote.org. If you can, and you social media out there, send out at least every couple of days up till election, vote.org or iwillvote.org. Either one works, to get people to vote. You don't need to agree with me. I don't need to like what you're voting for to love that you're voting. So vote.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Love you, Johnny Million. We'll see you later. Thanks, Chicago.
Love you too, Hal.